What drives me to college is the fact that I don't have attendance.
That's very typical of you, I think. You
Thank you for making me realize that.
How do you think any first year should go about choosing what club they want to be a part of?
I'm not responsible for it.
Hello and welcome to the ECC Odyssey, where people meet stories. On this podcast, we talk about the amazing people of ECC, their journey and interests. Get the inside scoop on the happenings of campus, the behind the scenes of clubs, and what's in store. For all this and much more, stay tuned, strap in, and enjoy the ride.
Any club that exists on campus, this man is part of it. Known campus fight for his given nickname as AlphaDelta, joining us today in this episode is the omnipresent Abhiram Dasika.
Thank you
Hello
for-
Abhiram, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling quite fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Our pleasure, it's our pleasure.
We're very excited to have you because when we think of Abhiram, we think of passion and energy, and I think we're going to see that a lot on this
A lot of
episode.
It'll be contagious.
It definitely will. So, biggest question from all the energy that you've got. How many clubs are you part of? You get to
Should
be.
we frame it as what club are you not part of?
I guess in semester 3, the highest, that's when I reached the highest number of clubs, and that was 7 clubs that I was a part of.
Can you name one?
Oh, okay, that's more of a challenge
that's
now, once
challenge.
again. So there was Hackerspace, there was GDSC, ACM, QQC, Silicon, MUNSoC, and Vegavat for a while.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay. So,
That happened.
You haven't missed out any? Are you sure?
I'm sorry, I don't think I missed any.
You don't think? Okay. So, that's
Yeah.
a lot of clubs.
That's a lot of clubs to be part of.
What drives you to be there and do it every day? Because it's a lot of energy. What do you get up
What
and think,
drives
okay,
me?
today I'm going to do this?
What drives me to college is the fact that I don't have attendance, to be honest. But when it comes to energy and all of that, right. So when it comes to energy and all of that, it comes from the fact that when I was in my first year, I had the privilege, honestly, of being guided by quite amazing seniors, Rauji, Mukund, Naveen. So then I also met Joan, Suhas, and Advait from EC, and I would say that when it comes to that energy for that passion for contributing to the club culture on campus, I think it comes from there. Because one thing that I picked on quite early on, and which I'm actually thankful for, was that our seniors put in a lot of effort and put themselves out there. They said everybody needs to learn. The main thing was that workshops, so that you learn stuff that is not is the first thing, that you're not limited to the college curriculum, which in its own is quite vast, but there are some things that it misses out. So I think when it comes to the technical aspects, the energy comes from there.
A workshop's not about demonstrating, it's not about learning. Right?
It's for learning.
That's
Yes.
So you're involved in obviously a lot of campuses, clubs, but what is it that you love about ECC's clubs the most?
Oh, this is a nice question. I really like this. So one really nice thing that I love about our campus is that it's very well connected of sorts. Like, for example, how do I phrase this? In a way, whenever, for example, this is taking from a personal anecdote, you walk through the entrance, you will see and wave to at least 15 people on your way through the main block entrance. You try that in RR, it is not going to work. And this is something that I hear from my friends in the other campus as well. They mentioned that ECC has this really nice thing, that it's a very tightly knit community, which has both pluses and minuses. But when it comes to being so tightly knit, it's a really nice thing because you get to know other people on more personal level, which when you're that is one thing that is not. Then when you're working in clubs, you start you develop a connection that is a lot more it's a sort of community, to summarize it. I went on for a bit.
And what have you learned from this club experience? Because it teaches you a lot. What are your biggest takeaways?
Okay. Biggest takeaways. I would say that the main things that I have learned from being part of clubs is, first of all, I got a very, very massive and yet, close friend group of sorts. That is one thing that you get from clubs. But additional skills that you learn are, how to work together. That's regardless, you will learn that. But when it's for club, you're doing it for clubs, you end up working on stuff that you don't you prioritize it for a different reason. You don't prioritize that work for assignment marks or whatever. You prioritize that work because you want to give to say you want to give back of
It's
sorts.
about sharing. It's nothing.
Yes,
personally kind
yes,
of.
There's
exactly.
nothing gate-kept in.
Exactly. One thing, the first club that I joined was Hackerspace, and the main thing about Hackerspace, now known as HSP, is information should be free and knowledge should be, shared. So that's what, free and open source, it comes from free and open source software of sorts, FOSS. And that's what we do at HSP with our workshops of sorts.
So a lot of people love HSP. What is your favorite thing about HSP as part of that community?
I would say the mentor chat, to be honest. It's like one of the most tightly knit group of people who are extremely intelligent, and yet it's a balance of fun and a balance of nerding out. So that is one of the nicest things about it. HSP's mentor chat.
Could we ever get access to that mentor chat group?
I'm not responsible, bro. I am marketing lead. So ask Tiwari or ask Taksha or Harini, to be honest. Harini and Taksha were on the podcast a few
Yes.
weeks ago, right? You should have asked them, bro. I'm not.
We've got a couple of scoops from.
Oh.
from
Both
them.
of them.
Cool stuff, cool stuff.
But so when the first year enters on campus, it's a very new environment. You're discovering so much, and there are so many clubs on campus. It's a plethora of options. And the moment you join, you feel like you want to join every club that's possible because everything is so interesting, right? So how did you navigate your direction that I want to go into HSP? And then you're obviously a part of a lot of clubs. I don't think anybody else has that
Oh
much
no.
bandwidth.
Now it's 4 clubs. Okay, Silicon, which is the club I founded. MUNSoC, I am the president. HSP, I was marketing lead. I think we have handed over now. We have handed over now. And QQC, which is the quiz club, again marketing lead. So 4 clubs. I downsized.
Right, okay. Fine.
Yes.
But for the first year, and
Yes.
there are so many options.
Right.
How do you think any first year should go about choosing what club they want to be a part of, apart from whatever interests them?
Right. Okay. So I think one thing you mentioned earlier that you joined HSP first. I did not join HSP, to be honest. What happened was Aditya Nair, the previous head of marketing before me, reached out to me because I was on Discord and I was like, I was active on Discord channels before I joined college. So he was like, bro, can you help me get registrations for this event? I was like, okay. So he sent me the information, I sent it around, stuff like that. And Rauji took notice of me and he was like, you come here, you are joining our club, you are joining HSP.
They saw the talent.
Yes.
They acquired it. Didn't they?
Yes, quite literally. To be very honest, I think out of those 7 clubs, I have given a serious interview for only 2 of them, where for the rest of them, it was like, you know what, we like what you're doing, come here. So that's what happened.
Literal talent acquisition.
Talent acquisition. For what? For energy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the driving force of any event or any club. The right kind of energy, put into the right form.
True.
I think we can take the club a long way.
As
That's
people
true.
who haven't worked with you in a club, I think if we're able to notice the energy,
Yeah, I think outsiders we see the energy. I think inside the club
they
must be a good
definitely see
feeling.
it.
I guess so. I'm not the best judge for this. But one thing you asked regarding first years, right? So when it comes to first years, one thing I would like to suggest, not my place to be honest, but still, is when it comes, one really nice thing that has been started now is you guys have the presentation for all the clubs,
Yes.
where the club has come and give an introduction to the club, which is honestly very nice. We had maybe one PPT which they rushed through in maybe 2 minutes, so there was no information
And
to
that
be
was
honest.
very
That shared.
bootstrap.
Very
So
Bootstrap,
You
yeah.
have no clue about
Yes.
the campus, and they're like, okay, 18 clubs or whatever number of clubs take.
Yes, now it's 55 actually, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I think Harsh would be better suited to answer that. Harsh or Taksha. Yes. But yeah, so when it comes to the clubs, one thing is, what interests you, for one thing. Secondly, one thing that I would want to urge everyone is take part in the events first. All events, when they are held, be it a hackathon, be it a workshop, be it quizzes, whatever, seminars, etc., everything, it is targeted towards first years. Like, at least from the clubs that I am a part of, whenever we are planning the schedule and all that stuff, we take a look at the first year timetable when they have exams and all of that stuff, and then say, okay, these slots we want for workshops, etc. So first years are the target audience, and if first years are not participating, bro, it's not, it doesn't feel like, okay, there was a payoff for all the effort that goes into organizing an event. But yeah, so that is one thing. Take part in events. And then you'll slowly realize, what actually interests you and what is, what each club offers.
So you've obviously got this let's do it attitude and keep doing too many things maybe sometimes. And
Sometimes
still,
I
Honestly,
think
yes.
to a level where he's physically, mentally exhausted and tired, but still the let's do it.
yeah, and still there's so much energy. But with this sort of, let's say, nonchalant charm, like nothing gets to your head, and if it does, I think you're able to move past that frustration pretty fast.
I guess you can say that, yes.
How do you do that? Because it's hard to deal with so many things and so many tiring things all at once.
Having a support system, to be honest, is extremely beneficial. So one thing for me is I have, some friends who I can, always rely on and who I can always speak to. So yeah, I can always rely on them, which I would say is what gets me through of sorts. So I would say that is extremely beneficial for, when you're dealing with a lot of things, I would say.
And how do you build that support system? Do you see anything that strikes you as, okay, these are the people that have commonality in my friend group? Like, what strikes me?
So multiple friend groups because of multiple club
Yeah.
involvements and stuff like that. But I would say that taking part in events, you start finding people, and taking part in clubs, you start finding people. So most of my friends who I have made are actually through clubs. Some of them, very few of them, to be honest, are people I met in the first semester, and that has held strong even now.
I think for a lot of us, bootstrap friends have still.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I would say that yes. Some cases, that may not be the truest, because when it came to my bootstrap, I was in a completely different one. So I knew no one from bootstrap in my class. So that was fun.
When you speak about marketing for the clubs, and you have a way with marketing, I must say, where I think if the first year hear something, and it's coming from a source where they're fond of, and how do you build that kind of a rapport with them, and how has marketing helped you in general? Because as BTech students, going forward, we don't really have to market events
Obviously,
and
yes,
things
yes,
like
yes.
that. But all of this is just what you're doing out of passion. So what is the driving force for that, and what is the secret of your rapport with this first year?
With the first, I would, to be honest, this is a tough one. I'm not sure, to be very honest, but I think it comes from honestly, I think the juniors and the first years might be better tasked with answering this. But from my perspective, what it is, it's just, presenting, it's like presenting what you want to convey in a manner that they would that would generate interest in them. That would have something in common with them.
Yeah.
One benefit of being an additional marketing person alone, you don't have, while you are you see your teammates dealing with all of that work. You are aware of what it is. From the marketing perspective, it keeps you free of sorts.
It's really not your job.
It's not my job. But that's when you're doing marketing. When it comes from MUNSoC or Silicon's perspective, Silicon does not have a core team. I am the core team, so I take care of every single thing: finances, procurement of the components, forms, approvals, content, presentation, everything. So
Event mails, post-event reports.
yes. Oh, that reminds me.
Okay, send
Post-event report.
You are
Right.
Silicon.
I am Silicon, yes. But yeah, so that's one thing. So you get. At first I was just doing the marketing work for other clubs. When it comes to your own club and when it comes to such things, you start realizing and truly appreciating the effort that your friends put into an event. Yes. But again, when the first years don't see it, they will not see it just yet. When they join the clubs, they will realize, they will see, and they will learn, and they will be like, okay, you know what? We understand the passion that goes into all of this and the effort that goes into all of this. So that's kind of the hope, that this club culture that our seniors and we have built over 3-4 years now. Yes, 3-4 years now. That can be carried forward, especially with our juniors and super juniors and so on and on.
Abhiram, you speak about MUNSoC, and obviously about Silicon as well. But MUNSoC had a huge event recently, UniCon.
Yes.
And big congratulations to all of you, to you, Harsha, the entire team of MUNSoC, for
Thank
such
you.
a beautiful and such a grand event.
Thank you.
Obviously, MUNSoC has come a long, long way from when
Oh,
I
yes.
think you guys became club heads, and then now where MUNSoC is, there is so much difference. And I know that there is a MUNSoC community that all of you have, but I want to know what was, as the club head, what was your initiative to start a community for the club, and what made it possible that the community conducted such a grand event?
Right. Okay. So I would honestly prefer having Harsh answer this as well, but since this was his sort of thing, like he came to me and said, Abhiram, these things aren't working out. I think we need to focus back on MUNSoC. I was like, yes, okay, because I was in second year of ECE and that was taking a toll on me mentally. ECE moment. But yeah, so that was taking a toll on me mentally. So I was a little bit more hands off at that point in time. But when Harsh pointed this out to me, we decided that people only start caring about all of this. Why? Okay, let's phrase it this way. Why do we care about all of this? Why do we put in effort for all these club work and all of that stuff?
It's your own.
I'm sorry?
It's your own.
Yes, exactly. You have developed this sort of connect with the thing, with the organization ideal of sorts, and that you develop that connection only if you have some sort of collective activity. MUNSoC, for example, did not have that, because what we did as MUNSoC previously was just go participate in conferences, win awards, quite awesome. But there was no such connection per se between members of sorts, because while we did have online training sessions, but like online you don't develop that connection. Everybody's cameras is off, you are just speaking into the void. It's not fun whatsoever. We tried, okay, you know what, let's have articles written by members on the website MUNSoCECC.wordstyle.app.
Which I've read by some really good articles.
Thank you. But initially it wasn't like it wasn't always that way. We when we were going through articles, submissions, more than a year ago now, when we started that initiative, it was not, really, it was not, so to speak, up to the mark of sorts, yeah. But, it was, at that point in time, it was something better than nothing. That doesn't mean that there aren't some great articles on there. There are some absolute gem articles there, but if you take a look at the older ones, it feels like, oh, this could have been fleshed out a little bit more, whatever. But, we were like, okay, why is this not working out? We thought, okay, this is an event, this is tying people together. It wasn't tying people together because it was an individual thing. And, with the rise of ChatGPT and all of that stuff, it's quite easy to crank out articles on a topic. So, people are just like, okay, what, last minute. One of the major issues why people weren't able to, take part in all of this was because of the 5 ISAs. 5 ISA system really, drained a lot of people and it really took a toll on, say, then first years and us as well, and on the club culture as a whole. They reverted that, but my GPA again took it down. Turned with that.
Yeah,
5 ISAs was, it was like, good for your GPA, but bad for, everything else, your mental health as well.
Yes.
And then 2 ISAs is like, great for everything else, but your GPA is gone.
Absolutely spot on with that.
Yes, absolutely gone. But like, it is what it is. we cut our losses and move on. Yes. But yeah, so with MUNSoC, that's what happened. And, Harsh said, what, we need to build a community. And we did that of sorts. At the end, it was like, at the end of second year, we asked everybody, do you want to actually continue on with this, or are you, no hard feelings, you can drop out. Some did drop out, some stayed. Then we held recruitments. One of the most, this is from the perspective of clubheads, one of the best ways to, identify potential future, core members of the club is holding recruitments and handing the recruitment process over to the juniors.
Oh.
But that kind of lets you see about how all of these people work together as a team. And I know I'm giving away secrets at this point, but you guys need to know this at some point in time.
You're an HSP member. You cannot.
There is nothing gatekeeping.
There is no gatekeeping, exactly. But yeah, so that is one thing that happens, and you see how well people work out together. Then slowly, with our recruitment process, we did this additional thing, where we had a proper month simulation as a part, and people who took part in the recruitments actually, went all above and beyond for this, and said, okay, what, we're going to form blocks, the whole process for a conference that happens. And at that point, one of the groups was like, okay, what, everybody is a part of this group. This is going to be our unofficial group, and where we talk non-tech, where we just talk freely.
Is that what evolved to Chapri?
Yes,
Yeah.
we don't take that name outside.
Yeah.
What happens in that group stays in that group.
I'm not going to try it.
Yes, what happens in the group stays in that group. But yeah, so you generally start getting to know people better, and that's what led to a tightly knit MUNSoC community. And so we actually have been trying to hold UniCon for well over a year now. We were supposed to hold it in January of 2022, soon after we assumed presidency. So we were like, okay, what, we are going to hold this thing, and approval never came because I don't know, multiple reasons, I guess. But what Harsh and I believe now is like, we would not have had it any other way. We would not have, been able to pull off UniCon without the support of the juniors, of our kids, who made this possible.
So
It's not junior, I don't really like that term with MUNSoC kids. They're our children, bro. That's all. They're the MUNSoC kids.
Very visibly, you guys take care of them very well. So we'll talk about more of you now. With you and your, what we call maybe nowadays personal brand. And
It's the
especially-
AlphaDelta brand.
Yeah, the
Okay.
AlphaDelta brand. Because that's your presence on WhatsApp groups. Every single WhatsApp group in the history of your presence on EC campus will have an AlphaDelta. And
And
what
that
made
and that DP.
yeah. What made you take up firstly that name, and what's the story behind AlphaDelta?
Oh, okay. This is going to be honestly a kind of a letdown, but like in ninth grade, I had this Percy Jackson phase,
Yeah.
and I really learned the Greek alphabet and all of that stuff. And when lockdown happened, I was like, people can't. You need a nickname on Discord, right? Yeah, I spent a lot of time on Discord, and since Abhiram Dasika is not one of the easiest names to pronounce, especially when you are not from India, or you also don't want to give away your real name. You create a nickname of sorts. The easiest and my nickname is one of the biggest cop outs. Honestly, it's Abhiram Dasika AD Alpha Delta. So that's where it comes from, and the binary at the end it's actually binary, and it translates to 18, which is my birth date. But yeah,
That's a good lore, I guess.
lore, yes.
What's your favorite thing about having this internet personality of sorts? Internet online personality.
It's both of a pro and a con of sorts, because one of the pros is you are well known. It's one name, one photo that is associated with that name, and everybody is aware of that. Everybody has seen that at some point in time. The con is nobody knows that this is the face that is attached to that. to
I
that.
think today they will.
Yeah, now they do. So if a fresher wants to go about creating a presence on campus, online, offline, just wants to be known for who he or she is, how do you go about doing that from your perspective?
If someone wants to to be known for who they are, I guess the best thing that you can do is put yourself out there. I know it sounds extremely cliche and extremely repetitive of sorts, and daunting of sorts as well, but just interacting with other people as you are, or not because you are the easiest when you're in your own skin. So when you are presenting yourself, it's it comes a bit less difficultly as creating a persona of sorts, or creating an image of sorts. The image will create itself, but who you are is what is more important.
But what about like the fear of being? Because I feel like a lot of people have a fear of being themselves. But
And also
or
the
known,
fear
yeah.
of, the fear of, I think criticism.
Have you ever felt it though, from your experience?
I mean, people have told me that oh, Alpha Delta, he is extremely what is the word that they use? He is extremely standoffish and extremely cold, and I was genuinely surprised about
They
that.
call you cold?
Cold, and it was kind of interesting to hear that, but I guess it comes from the fact that being everywhere comes with the trade-off that you're nowhere at the same time. So I guess that is one of the criticisms of sorts. But how you deal with that is you work on yourself of sorts. When it comes to the thing that I got to know about myself, that I'm extremely cold, or I come off as extremely cold, it's because, or extremely judgy of sorts. It's because when you are when you are not able to commit all of your time to certain thing, you tend to do a half-assed job at it, and as a result there are these perceptions that come about, but that you can work on by figuring out what is more important to you, prioritizing of sorts.
Let's talk about something that you really love. I've seen you tinkering with just about everything. You walked in and you opened whatever was next to you.
Yes.
And that's very typical of you, I think. You find an electronic device and you're like, okay, now I need to open it up, use all the hardware that's inside and
Yeah,
create
Abhiram
something.
reminds me of Rancho from 3 Idiots. Very
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I did
Disassemble,
not-
put it back.
I did not think of that, but honestly, I watched that film as a kid, and I think that has, led a little bit to define me as who I am. So thank you for making me realize that.
You also become the person that someone goes to if they want their laptop like cleaned up.
Or
opened
fixed,
up,
or
fixed,
yeah.
or their camera. I remember one of my friends had an issue with the camera. He
Yes,
comes
I
in
actually
and
got my
fixes it.
screwdriver set today to take that apart and take a look at what the issue is. Unfortunately, I did not get to meet him, but yeah.
task for another day now.
Yeah.
But what is it about this tinkering that you love so much?
I don't know, honestly. It comes from a very young age, I think. Uh, when I was roughly 6 years old or so, went to this, science museum or whatever. My parents, you have those stalls where you can get science kits of sorts, right? I think my parents got one of those, windmill sort of things for me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to build this. I built that. I was like, okay, you know what? The battery needs to be disconnected for it to switch off. This is not good. I need a switch. So I went to my grandfather. I was like, I want a switch, Tana, and he was like, okay. And then we went searching for a switch, and that of sort,
All for a 6-year-old passion.
yes,
to work on
what a
windmill.
switch. And that I guess it was motivation of sort that led motivation from my parents, from my grandparents, that led to me being like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go further into this. So a lot of those science kits of sorts, lot of those electronics kits. Then it led to actual components. Then robotics of sort when it was available in school. Then one thing led to another, and I guess it culminated in the fact that okay, I am very familiar with circuits. I am very familiar with how these things work. Then it came to computers and all of those. There was this old computer at home that needed a little bit of fixing and stuff. So took that apart, put it back together. Took that apart, put it back together a few times. Realized okay, it's just it's basically Lego of sorts. Except you can't go wrong with it because it is designed in such a way that there is no wrong way of putting it. You cannot put it in the wrong way. There is only one way of putting it. So you don't run the risk of breaking something. I guess experiences might differ there, but my experience was take it apart, put it back together, and that
Eventually, it has culminated with
Yes.
you in EC.
Yes.
EC department. How do you find EC, Abhiram?
Okay, so EC I would say is if you are interested in knowledge, if you are interested in learning why things work the way they are, or you want to really build something, only if you are extremely passionate about it, you will find that our EC department in this campus especially has the facilities to support that passion in you, and the professors and the faculty will actually be like, okay, you know what, do this, it will help you further, do this, it will help you further. When it comes to the college curriculum itself, it's a bit cut and dry in the first year, so second year. So you might be like, okay, you know what, this is not for me, this is not for me whatsoever, and stuff like that. But it's a tough journey. It's not easy, so to speak. Your GPA also may not be the best. At the end of second year, it was not doing that great. But how that compensates is that your third year has subjects that are genuinely quite interesting, and so second year is just the foundational concepts which are quite cut and dry. You just have to suffer your way through them.
A lot of physics, a lot of maths.
A lot of math. Math will not leave you
My
at all.
experience is like I used to stay in your classroom a lot during second semester because
Okay.
we shine out in your
Right.
And I used to walk in and integrals on the board.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, thank God I did not do this to myself.
Yeah. So there is a lot of math involved. Third semester is going to be probability and stuff, and you're going to be like, okay, you know what, I can make it through this. Fourth semester, a little easier math. Okay, it's just matrices, you can make it through. Linear algebra, I think, is common for everyone. But the integral stuff that comes in, waveguides, electromagnetic field theory, these are fifth and sixth semester subjects. But if you have a basic enough understanding of integrals and stuff like that, you will actually breeze your way through them. I don't. That's why I don't. That's why I suffer with those subjects. But waveguides is going great, so that's a great great thing for me. EMFT did not go that well. But when it comes to EC, second year is foundational concepts, and you're going to be like, okay, this is so extremely boring. Where is this going? And you see your friends in CSE, they are working on actual projects of sorts. I guess you guys have web tech in your third semester, and MPCA in your 4th semester.
MPCA is not fun.
MPCA is not fun, okay.
I mean,
Okay, look, for MPCA projects, I did a lot of the projects for our batchmates.
I know.
Like a lot of the projects, I only did them. They were like, okay, you know what, can you please help me fix this? Fixed it, give back.
I should have spoken.
I think one team, honestly just gave their project to me, like, please get this done. I was like, okay, cool.
These are those Arduino.
Yes, Arduino and Raspberry Pi projects. I am not sure what the course content for MPCA is, but judging by the projects itself, it's like, okay, some interesting stuff. You are learning some application-oriented stuff. But when it comes to, second year of EC, you're just going, it's, very cut and dry. You don't have any application-oriented stuff. You have theoretical stuff. You have really interesting subjects. So, RISC-V, computer architecture, machine learning. Yes, we also learn machine learning in 6th semester. Waveguides. This is all application-oriented stuff. Computer networks. All of this stuff, is quite application-oriented, which is, of sorts, more interesting to learn. So I guess, it pays off at that point in time. So it's like, your second year is tough, but your third year, you start doing better. And if I am right in assuming this, CSE, it's like second year is easier and third year gets harder. Is that right? I'm not sure. I have heard this from some of my friends.
I haven't been studying hard enough to know.
This is what I've heard from some of my friends, like, oh, they're forever stressed. And I'm like, bro, I am vibing here. What are you talking about? I am supposed to be the one suffering. Yes, I guess, it comes from that as well. It's just, you get used to it and, it's just effortless at that point. I don't know. But, EC requires effort. And, if you're willing to put in that effort, it is going to pay off really well. Because, when you are passionate about something, the opportunities come knocking. Cliche, I know, but it is what it is. When it comes to placements and all of that stuff, the statistics may not be the greatest, but that's because a lot of the people just say, what, I'm not interested in jumping through all of these hoops. I'm just going to go send in my resume to this person. They're going to be like, okay, you interest me. Come here. You're going to work with me. That's how a lot of the seniors that I am aware of in EC get start working. Suhas and Joanne, if I'm not wrong, they started work in their 6th semester only. And Suhas, though, at least the gap between your second and third year, he was doing an internship at that time and then another internship, and then he has been working there ever since. So he's doing pretty well, and he is one of my role models of sorts when it comes to the technical side of things.
We will learn about him as well. Should get him on the podcast.
Yes.
Abhiram, Silicon Circuit Studio happened very recently, and you were obviously very, very tired after the workshop.
Yes.
But I think it's rewarding. It's rewarding to be tired after a workshop like that.
Yes.
I would say that.
Yes, I was genuinely surprised. So, when you're doing everything on your own, you miss out on some of the things, which you term as trivial of sorts. Lesser, one of them is that, but, lesser important things, from an organizational standpoint, sending out feedback forms, for example.
Yeah.
So, you miss out on such things, and then you're, you don't, truly realize how amazing it is. But, one thing that happened this time is that everybody, said, what, this was one of the best workshops I have attended. I have learned a lot, and it was quite an interesting process and all of that stuff. And I was truly stunned. I was just standing on the stage with my mouth open, like, what? Bro, because I did not think that, I was making that much of an impact. Because, it's, from my perspective, it's, basic stuff that I'm teaching. There's a lot more that can be learned. And I'm skimming over a lot of the basics. But a lot of them said that, this was truly interesting and, it was worth it coming on a holiday. So I was like, okay, wow, that is truly impressive praise. One thing that happens with Circuit Studio, I guess one of the things is, it's a limited batch system, right? So one thing that happens is there are a lot of backouts at the last minute. So, but I guess, it's a trade-off for, holding a workshop, where you can cover everyone and you can, be like, okay, you know what, you didn't, I don't think you understood. I'll explain it again. That's one thing I did. And, that's, I guess, one thing that was beneficial to the participants.
So, what's your journey with Silicon and what's your vision behind Silicon? Because you are Silicon, like you said.
How did the idea of Silicon start?
Okay, so one thing is that, in ECE, we deal with, higher level stuff. We don't, deal with basics, things like resistors, capacitors, breadboards, all of that stuff. That is, considered that, okay, this is very low level. This you are not going to use in industry. This is not going to get you a great job. But, when it comes to, I would say that this is an important skill, to be aware of, how circuits work. Because while a machine might automate that for you, you can't, it's not a very, cheap process of sorts. If you are a hobbyist and you are working on a small project, you cannot get 10 PCBs printed for, say $2,000 and require only one, right? Because that, it's not economical, so to speak. While, the scene now is becoming, the cost of entry for hardware is becoming lesser and lesser, which is honestly a really nice thing. But there is still a cost of entry, right? So one thing that I wanted to, introduce to everyone is, the skill of prototyping and, learning by discovery. So there is actually this really great book called Make Electronics by Charles Platt. He speaks about, it's literally learning by discovery. He, says, okay, you know what, take this relay. How does it work? We are going to cut it open and see. So, it's interesting. Also, that's one thing, taking that sort of a book and, presenting it to everyone in a way that, people will understand it. That is, that was what was my initial driving force for, starting the club, like in second semester. I approached Mukund. Mukund was like, brother, Joanne and Suhas have a club called Silicon. You don't need to start a new club for ECE for that. So I was like, okay, what does that club do? I was like, boss, see, that club works on projects and stuff. And he was like, see, that is another issue. It's not a formalized club. It's, as with procedures, stuff gets, I am pretty sure there are a lot of proposals, a lot of event proposals that have gone, a lot of, club proposals that have gone, that have just gotten lost in the process and in the, paperwork stage. So that is what happened with our seniors as well. I think that's what happened. And as a result, they were like, okay, you know what, you're too enthusiastic, you come here. I was like, yes, what happened? Like, take this club. And I was like, okay, who is the faculty advisor? He was like, you know what, we'll tell you this really great professor who has, been helpful to me. So we'll, he has, some sort of authority in the department. So, it's beneficial. I was like, okay, very cool. So then, that's how I met Bhavas. He's my faculty coordinator. And he is just as enthusiastic as me, if not more, to, yes, to, actually, present this information, to present knowledge to other people. So he wants to work on projects of sorts. So if this is for everyone. If you have a hardware project that you want to work on, you can come to Cabin 514. Bivas sir is always ready to listen to any sort of project proposal you have, and that's what Silicon does. If you have any sort of project that you want to work on, or if you are in need of any sort of thing, especially with MPC project season coming up, there are a lot of people who come saying, boss, do you have a resistor of 220 ohms? Do you have LEDs? Do you have this module? Do you have this ultrasonic sensor module? I'm like, yes and no. This I can get for you, but it will not be through this, etc., etc. So that happens, and if you are working on projects, if you are working on any sort of if you want to work on any sort of circuit related thing, any sort of hardware thing, you can always come to us, and that's what the aim of Silicon is, to provide a space for people to ideate, to develop, and to prototype and test. So theory is
theory only takes you so far.
Theory only takes you so far, exactly. Theory only takes you so far, and that's one thing. You can, in DVD, which is a fourth semester subject, they came to us and said, okay, you know what, this is a CMOS inverter. I'm like, okay, that's very cool. What does it do? Like, I don't know, bro. How does it work? I don't know, bro. So I was like, okay, you know what, it's 2 transistors. Might as well take 2 transistors, put them on the breadboard, connect it up as on the diagram, and see. And then you realize, okay, you know what, current flows this way. This is the controller, etc., etc. And then you start, realizing, oh, this is how it actually works. Seeing it in action is one of the best ways to actually understand something. So that is, one more reason for, why hardware is as important as, the theory. Because, as you rightly said, theory only takes you so far. But yeah, so that's, the vision for Silicon, to provide a space for people to work on.
It's so cool that finally EC has something where hardware is pushed forward, because
Yes.
from a computer science perspective, it's just very cool because all we know is lines of code.
When it comes to even our theoretical with our syllabus as well, we simulate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we have a software called Cadence, where we design circuits in that at a nanometer scale for NMOS and PMOS. So we use those libraries and stuff like that, and we design those circuits. So your amplifiers and all of that stuff that comes in EC, differential amplifiers, etc., all of that stuff, we simulate that, because as great as hardware is, no 2 transistors are made the same. So when you try making it on breadboard, you're not going to have the exact level of parameters for both the transistors and stuff like that. So that's where simulation comes into play. That's also beneficial. Then there is for digital logic, standard circuits work, but for analog logic and analog circuits, it gets harder.
A lot more scope for errors, I guess. Analog,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, Abhiram, what are you currently working on with all of this hardware talk? What's your current project?
I am glad you asked. Okay, so there is this famous playlist on YouTube called the 8-bit computer, 8-bit simple as possible computer by Ben Eater. I am pretty sure some of you may have heard of this, but what it is basically using pure logic, just discrete ICs for building a computer. You do not use any programmable stuff, etc. When it comes to the computer itself, the only thing that you're programming is your memory, with whatever instructions you want to run. But everything else, when you're building an adder, it's quite literally 74283 adder, 4-bit adder chips. So you take pure discrete hardware and you build that. So it's roughly about this big, so it's not possible to present it very easily. But I am sure there can be a photo attached or something like that.
Let's wait for that photo.
But yeah, so one of the things is, with such a large project, there are going to be errors.
Yeah.
And with coding, the best way to debug, one of the simplest ways to debug without using a debugger and all of that stuff, is doing print whatever.
Been there, done
Yes. So when it comes to this thing, I quite literally have this little blue LED that I have created, with one that is permanently connected to ground, and second, wherever there is an error, I poke around and see, okay, what is the value supposed to be here? What is the value supposed to be here? So that's one thing that I
Is that
do.
the equivalent of?
Yes, that's the equivalent of the print statements. But again, with this, since there are always so many errors, this project has been in the works for well over a year now, and I think I will be writing a blog post about this someday, when I when I overcome my fear of front end and make my website. So when I do that, it will probably be on there, because as of right now, the easiest way for me to generate content of sorts is Instagram, because little bit of something that I'm familiar with. So I just take a photo of it, write down a lot of text explaining what is what, show it in action. So these are little bit things that I.
So you have an
work
Instagram
on.
presence for your.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
You
do.
want to talk about that? How do you go about that?
It's not something major. It's just Okay, you know what? I one day I just said, okay, you know what? I am going to shitpost on my story. This is a threat. Be warned. And then I, just started nerding out on my Instagram story. Then, people said, bro, please make this a highlight. Someday I will learn enough to understand this. I was like, okay, cool. And I did that. So that's, a small thing that is there. But when it comes to the best way to present yourself is through building a portfolio website, which is something that Rauji has been after me for almost 4 semesters now. Rauji.com is pretty much famous. I'm pretty sure, it has been seen at multiple...
It has been cited in PESU.
Yes.
documents.
Yes. It is a famous website, so that's how he built his presence with his website and his name. Rauji is a famous name. I sort of followed in his footsteps there with AlphaDelta.
Very well done. So,
We'll move to the rapid fire.
yes, I mean, now you can see.
Okay, but what is one of your favorite old Hindi songs?
Old Hindi songs. Oh, there are so many. I guess one would be from more recent times would be Tumse Hi from Jab We Met.
Yeah.
Which song? Yeah.
Yes. And one from much older times from the 60s. Actually, I can't pick one. Yeah. So when it comes to old Hindi songs, I would say listening to much older songs and the early 2000s. That was the golden era.
I think good music
that's-
stopped at 2010, 2012.
Yes, I
After that,
think to 2014-ish was like the last few good Hindi songs. After that,
Yeah.
That's the best expression. What's your favorite place to go on a long weekend getaway? Ideal place to go on a long weekend getaway.
Bro, I come to college on holidays as well. What would I say for a
That's
getaway?
where you want to run to, Abhiram.
This is a hard one. I'd say Ooty is quite nice this time of the year. Yes.
I can say good.
Yep. Ooty and Kodaikanal are quite nice places that I have visited.
Of course, you pick places in Tamil Nadu. What else?
I mean, I lived there for like almost 10 years, bro. Come on.
Alright then, I think much longer episode,
Then-
but very very insightful episode, and
Please feel free to cut off the parts where I'm waffling on. Yeah.
no, but I think we've learned so much about the clubs, all the grunt work that happens, MUNSoC, Silicon, and just about a lot of hardware, and your passion for all of it. I think it's been a very very nice episode.
Thank
I
you.
think we missed out also on a lot of stuff. But
Well, like a lot of things, but I
But
think we'll
so
have
much.
we'll need like a 4-hour podcast just to figure out everything.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
yeah. Alright then. That's a wrap from Shreya, Alekhya, and Abhiram. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time.